So today, friends, we're going to make this delicious, crispy, pastry-like sweet called Chirote. So keep watching the video. It's simple, easy, and gets ready quite quickly too. So let's start with the ingredients. We require 1.5 cup of maida or all-purpose flour, a pinch of salt, half a cup of water, and about 2 tablespoons of ghee or clarified butter. So now we're going to add the maida, the salt, the ghee, and we're going to crumble this mixture till it resembles some breadcrumbs. Basically, we want the ghee or the clarified butter to coat the maida very, very well. This is very important. Now, you can also use vanaspati instead of clarified ghee or butter. And then you're going to slowly start adding the water and make this into a nice dough. About half a cup of water should suffice. And once our dough is ready, we're going to cover and keep it aside for at least 30 minutes. This too is very important, that the dough is kept aside for at least 30 minutes. Now we're going to prepare a coating of half a cup of corn flour and 1/4 cup or 1/4 cup of ghee or clarified butter or vanaspati. You're going to whip it till it resembles some whipped cream. Now, after the dough has sat for about 30 minutes, we're going to make this into 6 even-sized balls. See that the balls are nice and roll smooth. And then we're just going to flour our surface and we're going to roll out each of these balls into very thin sheets. So since it is maida, it is very elastic and it's very, very easy to work with. And you'll also notice one thing, that as you keep rolling, it starts shrinking back into shape. So roll it out as fine and as thin as you're able to, and also that you can try to get all the sheets to be of the same size. Maida or all-purpose flour is very easy to work with, and just flour each of them lightly and just place all 6 of them on a plate. Now take the first sheet and then apply this corn flour and ghee mixture evenly over the sheet. You can use a silicone brush or your fingers or a spoon, whatever you're comfortable with. But see that this coating is evenly spread all over the sheet. Now you place the second sheet on top, pat it down a bit, and repeat this process till you come to the second last sheet. Now this reminds me of puff pastry, and I guess it's a similar process, although in puff pastry they use butter. So here we're going to be using corn flour and ghee, and this really works very, very well. So this is basically a puff pastry recipe, and you can use this for so many other recipes that require puff pastry. So once you have evenly spread it out on the second last sheet, we are going to place our last sheet, and then we're just going to roll it out very lightly. Don't press it down too much, just very lightly. And because we want those layers. That's very important for this recipe, for the chirote. So don't roll it out too fine, just with a very light hand, just roll it out. And then we're going to roll this in this manner from the broader end, very tightly. Ensure that it's very, very tight, and make it into something that looks like a sausage or a very thin, fine roll. And then we're going to cut the edges off. And then we're going to cut the rest of the roll into even-sized, thick pieces like this. They almost look like bakar vadi, the size. So make it into a thick slice like this and see that they're all even. You can also already see, the layers that are going to come on your chirote once you deep fry them. And then just pat them with your hand and just roll them very lightly like this. We don't want very thin ones. We want them to be a little on the thicker side. Now, if you can roll them out without using flour, that could also do. But the flour does help because it doesn't stick to the platform or the rolling area. So in this manner, just press them down and roll them very lightly. And once that is done, all we have to do is heat up some oil, but we don't want the oil to be smoking hot. So heat the oil on a low to medium flame, and we're going to fry this on a low to medium flame because we want to retain the whitish golden color. We don't want a dark color for this chirote. We want to keep it more on the whiter side, yet we want it to be crispy and fried too. So the trick to that is not to fry it on a high flame, but on a very low to medium flame. And plus your oil should not be very, very hot. And keep some kitchen towels ready, and also keep about half a cup of icing sugar or piti sakhar or powdered sugar. You can just take regular sugar and just powder it in your mixer or blender. We require about half a cup. Put it on a flat plate, because as soon as we drain the excess oil from these chirotes, we're just going to coat them with this icing sugar. So in this way, we're going to fry them. And while they are warm itself, we want to coat them with the icing sugar. And these chirotes are so delicious, and they are literally a melt in the mouth. So now that the chirotes are all done, I'm just going to lightly coat them with some powdered sugar or icing sugar. They look like little clouds, and they even taste like, they're so light and crispy. And that's it, friends. That's the recipe for chirotes. So I've taken 150 grams of chocolate cake, and we're just going to crumble it well with using a fork. I'll leave a recipe in the comments box below of homemade chocolate cake. Now to this crumbled chocolate cake, I'm just going to add about 1/4 cup of dark rum, and we're going to mix everything very well. And then using your hands, you can just knead it till it forms a soft yet firm dough. Now I've just lined a baking tray with some parchment paper or butter paper, and we're just going to make small even-sized balls with the dough and just place them on our butter paper. Now we're going to refrigerate these for at least 15 minutes. Now in using a double boiler, I'm going to melt about 200 grams of dark chocolate compound. So once our chocolate has melted, we are going to use 2 forks and then just dip these balls so that they get evenly coated with the chocolate, and just drain off the excess chocolate from the balls and just place them on a butter paper. Now we're going to place them in the refrigerator for about 30 minutes. And once they have nicely set, you will find that they have a little bit of excess chocolate. They don't really look like even sized rum balls. So then what you have to do is just take a very sharp knife and just smoothen up this rum ball by just taking off all the excess chocolate. Now once they're ready, you can decorate them with some Christmas icing decoration, or you can just dust them with some icing sugar. But what I like to do is I just like to dust them with some unsweetened cocoa powder. They look really pretty that way, and they taste really divine. Now this is definitely not for kids, but it's a very delicious dessert, very delicious Christmas sweet too. It'll make your it'll really look very, very pretty on your Christmas tree. So I hope you like today's recipe. I hope you give it a try. So we need a clean dry glass bottle, 1/4 cup each of some chopped cashew nuts as well as walnuts, 1/4 cup each of chopped fruit peel and raisins, which we're not going to chop but keep them whole, 1 cup or 180 ml of dark rum. Now we're going to mix all of these ingredients together, and we're going to ensure that the rum covers up the dry fruits and nuts completely. Give it a good shake, and we're going to store this for at least a minimum of 24 hours. Now we're going to make the caramel syrup. Now we're going to heat a pan and melt 1/2 cup of butter. Now once our butter melts, we're going to add 1 cup of brown sugar, and we're going to melt the sugar along with the butter by stirring continuously on a low flame. Once it starts to melt, which happens quite quickly, we're going to add 1/2 cup of water and stir on a very low flame till it becomes a nice syrup kind of consistency. Continuously keep stirring, and then transfer this to a bowl so it cools down to room temperature. Now we're going to prep up the other ingredients. We're going to start by separating 4 eggs, and we're going to beat the egg whites till they're nice and white and stiff and have stiff peaks. So you can use an electric whisk like this, or even a fork, or even a hand whisk. So we're going to beat it till they become nice and airy, and the batter has some nice soft peaks. Now I've taken 2 cups of all-purpose flour maida and I've added half a teaspoon of baking soda and 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Now we're going to drain out the rum from the dry fruits and we're going to transfer the dry fruits to another bowl and we're just going to add about 1/4 cup of maida and give it a good mix. By doing this, we ensure that the dry fruits don't sink to the bottom of the cake. And now it's time to make the cake batter. So we're going to take the egg yolks as well as the powdered sugar, which is 1.5 cup of powdered and sieved sugar, and we're going to whisk both of them till they are nice and smooth. So this changes from a pale yellow color to a pale white color. Till then, keep on whisking till you get this nice pale white color. Now we're going to add all the lovely ingredients, starting with 2 tablespoons of orange juice. You can add fresh orange juice or store-bought. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract or vanilla essence. 1/4 cup each of cinnamon powder and dry ginger powder, also known as sungta, and only 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg powder or zaifal powder. Now we're going to add the caramel syrup which we prepared, which has come to room temperature. Give everything a mix. And now we're going to add our flour and baking powder and baking soda mix a little at a time, and we're going to fold the batter. So here you're going to use the cut and fold system, and don't whisk it or don't kind of stir it, but give it a cut and a mix, or cut and a fold rather. Now we're going to add the egg whites. Again, we're going to fold in the egg whites. Because this kind of a cake is a little bit on the denser side. It's not a very light and airy cake like a sponge cake. It's more denser. That's why we need to follow the cut and fold method. Now we're going to add our dry fruits and nuts. And last but not the least, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of the rum reserve. That is, once we drained off the dry fruits and the nuts, we're going to add that. Now we're going to preheat our oven to 180 degrees Celsius, pour the batter into the tin, and we're going to bake this for 50 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. And after 50 minutes, we're going to let the cake cool down to room temperature. And once you insert a knife, once the knife comes out clean, you know your cake is completely ready. So let the cake cool completely for an hour before we cut it. Now you can just upturn the cake and take off the butter paper from the top and the sides. And your cake is all ready to serve or to just slice up and store in an airtight container. This cake is so delicious and it's just filled with amazing ingredients which make it so very special for Christmas. Now you can store this for about a week or so in an airtight container. And there it is, your Christmas rum, fruit and nut cake. It looks so delicious and it tastes even better. So please go and check out my other recipes. I've put up loads and loads of Christmas